Welcome back to Seven Moons Astrology, where mysticism and science combine. My name is Sarah Kirby, and this is a reading for the new moon in Pisces. In this episode, we'll discuss everything you need to know about the Pisces energy. We'll do a chart breakdown for this new moon specifically and the surrounding energies in the sky. And I'll also touch briefly on the past full moon in Leo that we just had on February 5th and how this new moon is a continuation of the broader story. I'll give strategies for the month ahead for this lunar cycle, as well as cover individual examples. And towards the end of this video, we'll dip our toes into some recent events and discuss how the astrology is playing out in the collective for this new moon. You can navigate this video using the chapters in the show notes or in the time bar if you're watching on YouTube. So as always, let's talk stats. Where are we at in time? Well, we have the sun and moon together at the 1st degree and 22 minutes of Pisces on February 20th at about 1 in the morning Central Standard Time. This is obviously going to vary depending on where you live, but when the sun and moon are together at the same degree in the same sign, this will be when we have our monthly new moon energy. Each new moon is the introduction of a new energy into the field of consciousness. The new energy that we're getting this month around is Pisces, of course, and Pisces energy is the final sign of the zodiac. The natural zodiac starts here with Aries, so Pisces is the 12th sign. It's the closing and it's the finishing and final release before we begin a new cycle. So when it comes to what is beginning here in our life experience with this new moon, it's really much more about what is ending. Pisces is a mutable water sign. Mutable represents the transition between seasons. So in the Northern Hemisphere, the transition from winter into spring, Aquarius, into Aries, is mediated through the mutable energy of Pisces. It's a water sign, so it has to do with emotionality. It has to do with intuition. And through its association to Neptune, you can think of it like the great ocean of consciousness. It flows and it ebbs, and it's very intangible. You know, the 12th house is also a hidden house, right? So this is an energy that it can be kind of difficult to put your finger on because it moves in the unseen realms. This is our subconscious processes. This is our fluctuating emotions and moods. And this is our relationship to the divine and spiritual consciousness. So perhaps the best way to illustrate this is just to go into a compare and contrast of Pisces key words, both on the positive and negative end of the spectrum. And as I go through these, I want you to keep in mind which of these words and themes are presenting in your reality now with greater significance or thematic meaning. It's not to say that you don't experience these things all year round. For a lot of them, of course you do. You're always connected to the divine, for instance, and the divinity and the expression of divinity is a Pisces key word. But there's some extra significance or meaning happening with the new moon in Pisces throughout Pisces season here over the next lunar cycle. So because Pisces has a lot to do with the unseen realms, many of its key words represent those hidden places that are removed from plain sight. So your imagination, rather than your analytical mind. The dreams that you have for your life, rather than your day-to-day experience. Fantasies, daydreaming, sleeping, rather than working and being present in reality. Vacations, going to be by the water, retreating from mundane reality. Those are all keywords for Pisces. On one hand, this is rest and solitude and meditation and contemplation, but on the other hand, this can be illness, sickness, self-delusion, escapism, denial, lies, and deceit. Because when imagination runs amok, it's usually heading into the territory of the false. This is our subconscious processes and our emotionality rather than our cool, calm, and rational intellectual mind. This is about potential and what's possible rather than what is or what's practical. This is synchronicity, it's magic, it's mystical and spiritual experience rather than day-to-day earth plane Virgo life by opposition. This is compassion, this is healing, it's service. It often represents doctors, the medical profession, and medicines, but on the flip side, it represents self-medication, addiction, and self-sabotage. Pisces is noble sacrifice and unity, but it's also victimhood and martyrdom. It can be healthy time alone and solitude, but it can also be isolation, despair, and loneliness. It's creative inspiration, but it's also plain confusion. And because it's the final sign, as I mentioned before, it's often associated with endings, which are sometimes welcome and other times experienced as profound loss and the human experience of grief. Any place that you tap out of society, anytime that you tap out of normal society for any length of duration, whether that's to go on a vacation or to an ashram, a prison, or a hospital, you are in Pisces territory. Pisces is the broad spectrum of human emotionality. It's the undercurrent that connects us all. It can be the tide that raises all ships or the tsunami that drowns us. It's boundless and boundaryless. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is that expansive influence that's associated with principles of higher thought and connects us to divinity and what is just beyond the reach of normal consciousness. So there's a lot of faith and relationship to divinity here, but God giveth and taketh away. So the broad spectrum of Pisces energy can have us saying around this time, what could I possibly have done to deserve all of this beauty? Or what could I possibly have done to deserve all of this profound loss and grief? And the truth about Pisces energy is that you can't pin it down. That mutable water energy is always shifting. And the way that we see reality shifts with it based on where we're at in the emotional flow. And the emotions are higher here during Pisces season. So over the next month, while the emotions are higher during Pisces season, I want you to watch as your outward reality shifts depending on your perspective and where you're at with your emotions. You'll find yourself moving through faith and belief in the abundance and provision of God. God giveth. And at other times, you'll shift into doubt and questioning and despair and emotional pain. God taketh away. And that wave will be riding over the next month, even if it's just a subtle, barely perceptible experience of your consciousness. Before we go any further on the new moon in Pisces, let's put it in context of the previous full moon that we just had in the sign of Leo on the 5th of February, because that's very much a part of the story here. This was a big full moon. We had 16 degrees of Leo opposed by the sun at 16 degrees Aquarius. And the hallmark of this Leo full moon was the very tight square to Uranus in Taurus at 15 degrees. And this was a pattern break experience for everybody, whether it was a subtle, brilliant aha moment or idea about what you want to do to move forward, to create more abundance, to create more resources, to create a stable experience, to invite more peace and pleasure in your life. Or it was a shock, a disruption to life as you know it, a clear manifestation of the scarcity of resources and the fragility of life. So now just 2 weeks later at the new moon in Pisces, we're dealing with the fallout of that full moon experience. So if you were one of the people who had an aha moment about what you could do to further your security, stability, pleasure in life, then here at the new moon in Pisces, you might be imagining or dreaming up goals and thinking about what that next cycle of your life is going to look like as you start to take action towards the realization of that idea. You might be in a place of accepting what it is that needs to end or what you need to shed or let go of in order to move further in that direction. But alternatively, if you were somebody who had a big shock that shaked the foundations of life, then you might be in emotional processing. You might be dealing with grief or loss. You could be in a state of confusion or uncertainty, insecurity about if you're really going to have what you need in order to make that change. All of us, no matter what camp you're in, are really using this new moon energy in the next month to seek counsel from the divine, praying to God, meditating on what it's going to look like. This isn't so much a period of hyperaction as it is release and letting go and just processing. So over the next month, we're going to be watching as the emotional wave moves up from faith and belief and healing and contemplation and daydreaming to despair and loss and desperation and loneliness and confusion and doubt. This Pisces season is going to be a really important closure period because Saturn at the late degrees of Aquarius is about to transition into Pisces for the first time in about 30 years. So it's been in Aquarius for the past 3 years. And on March 7th, during this Pisces season, Saturn is going to make a big shift into Pisces, where it will be on and off until about 2026. So this transition of Saturn is a big deal, not only because it's so rare, but also because Saturn represents the area of life where we're putting a lot of effort, energy, time, or focus. It can be related to our long-term decisions and what we're focused on building and sustaining, and it can also be what is very challenging in our reality. So it suggests to me that the transition that we're making here, the closing, the ending, the chapter that is concluding with this new moon in Pisces and over the course of this next Pisces season, maybe as a result of disruptions or changes that occurred, awakenings that happened 2 weeks ago at the full moon in Leo, is a long-lasting, significant closure in our life, because Saturn is going to come up in here into Pisces for the next 3-4 years and say, hey, remember that time? Remember that thing that happened? Remember what you're trying to do here? It's kind of like there's some sort of fallout to it, whether it's the energy and commitment you have to really put into making your dreams a reality and it's harder and it takes longer than you thought it would, or it's the ramifications of grief and loss that can take a really long time to process. So regarding this transition of Saturn, I've actually got something to help you with that. I am creating 2023 horoscopes for all 12 signs, and I'm releasing them now in the spring because there is so much shift happening in the spring. The spring and summer period of this year is full of action, and it starts with Saturn's shift into Pisces on March 7th. So I've got 30-page reports for all 12 signs detailing what each key energy shift will mean for each of the signs. There's reflection questions and affirmations to help move you through the year, and it will be useful, I hope, not only for the future, but in retrospect as you process your experience for years to come with this Saturn and Pisces energy. And we've also got a lot of big outer planet shifts coming just after Pisces season this year, so there's a lot ahead. If you are interested in grabbing your Sun, Moon, and Rising sign 2023 horoscopes, I will put a link in the show notes to sign up for the waitlist. So back to this new moon, what we're really doing this month is setting intentions to let something go or to let something end, to surrender and have faith for the direction that we're moving forward, and to use our imagination to dream up what's coming next. So to give you more detail about how that might play out, I want to first start with one of the aspects that the new moon is making, which is, again, this conjunction to Saturn. It's out of sign, but it's still very tight by degree that we've got Saturn close here to the new moon from Aquarius. A conjunction combines all of the planetary influences together, so you can really see the broad spectrum of archetypes play out. So the Saturn here with the new moon on the positive end could look like sustaining or maintaining your faith and trust in the divine, even during confusing or hard, challenging, uncertain situations. And because this is the energy of Saturn in Aquarius with the new moon in Pisces, this could look like finding a good way to marry and commit, Saturn, together the energy of logic and rationality, Aquarius, with intuition and emotionality, sensitivity, and compassion, Pisces. But when this conjunction skews negative, the solitude of Pisces can feel a bit more like isolation, especially because Saturn in Aquarius here, this is about the collective, it's about the group, society, your friends, your network at work. And so there can be a feeling here of like dejection or rejection, isolation, and depression. The other thing Saturn can do when it goes negative is it has a lot to do with fear. And so because Aquarius has to do with the future and Pisces has to do with the divine plan and God's will, there can be a lot of fear or questioning, uncertainty, or doubt about the future. There can be a feeling of emptiness. Now, because Saturn is out of sign of the new moon and it's in Aquarius, but soon to move into Pisces, I get the intuitive sense that this is kind of like an up and a down or an in and an out. So again, that Pisces flow of, I feel this way 1 minute when I'm down, and I feel like I have faith and trust and can surrender when I have more optimism and hope. So there's just kind of an up and down wave this month, I think, that is described by this energy here. So let's move on to the other energies that we have in the sky at this time. one of the supportive influences that we have that's helping us is this confluent, harmonious energy between Mercury in Aquarius in trine to Mars in Gemini. This trine is speaking to the energy of our minds and our wills working well together in the air sign, meaning that there's people around us that can help. We're having a lot of good ideas right now. We have the support of friends or connections in our network that can help us get from this point of closure to the new future that we're envisioning. This can also mean that we have a lot of energy and motivation to learn new skills and put them into practical action and to talk to the right people. In a sense, it's sort of like a collaborative spirit. Now, the other thing that this energy will do here between Mercury and Mars is help ground the high emotionality of this time with all of the Pisces energy. And that's because Mercury and Mars are in the air signs, and air is cool and dry, especially Aquarius, which is detached and very rational. And Gemini is about the facts and the information that we need and the skills and the people that could be helpful to us to get things done. And so this helps compensate and balance for the fluctuating emotions of this month by keeping us at least 1 foot grounded on what practical reality is and what ideas and people we need to talk to and what we need to do in order to move through this transition. To get more specific, this could look like going back to school, studying something, putting a website out, making good sales to bring in income. And this could also look like the direct support of friends and family. At the same time, though, we have Mercury making a square to Uranus at 15 degrees Taurus. And that energy can be a little bit more tense, and this can be a point of friction or a challenge that we experience this month, which could be a constant questioning of if we're going to have what we need, because Taurus is about needs and resources and security. And Aquarius wants to figure everything out, make sure we've got a plan for the future. But because Aquarius is a fixed sign, it doesn't like the process of change. It just wants to teleport into that new reality as fast as possible. So there can be a pressure or an impatience. And I think that's important right now too, because back to this trine between Mercury and Mars, they're typically harmonious, but they can indicate excess. And so when there's excess with this trine, it's going to come from that Mars and that Gemini, which is a restlessness and anxiousness, a hurry up and go. I just want to get there now. I'm excited or I'm worried, and I just want to snap my fingers and be there. I don't want to go through the process of change, right? These fixed sign energies, Aquarius and Taurus, do not want to move through the process of change. Aquarius wants to snap its fingers and be in the new reality, and Taurus wants to stay where it's comfortable and familiar, even if they don't have what they need. There could be possible conflict here, which I think is like a mental restlessness or a constant ruminating and questioning, especially because we also have Jupiter conjunct Chiron here over the next month. And what that will do is be, a continued self-doubt, self-questioning, insecurity kind of thing, because Aries is about my will and my motivation and my belief in self, and it's about confidence, and Chiron can kind of momentarily wound that. Now, the other thing that I want to mention in this chart is the conjunction of Neptune and Venus here in Pisces, which is making a sextile to Pluto in Capricorn. Venus loves to be in Pisces. It's exalted in the sign of Pisces. It's a very compatible, harmonious energy with Venusian themes. Venus and Neptune together can be really idealistic, big powers of creative imagination, really feeling the hand of God move in your life when it goes positive. With Pluto here in the sextile, there is a strong element of faith here that can help us to totally transform, rebirth, or make permanent change in our life. But if this were to go negative, which sometimes a sextile might do, this could look like being totally unrealistic, overly idealistic about what we want to create. And therefore, if it's not practical or it's not grounded in practical reality, how are you going to make it happen? But what this could also look like is external circumstances forcing permanent change on our life that create big feelings, big Pisces feelings, maybe of sadness or of loss, of grief. Which brings me to my next discussion, which is on the strategies for navigating this new moon. So if we talk about, let's say, something positive that you're dreaming up, something that you really want to happen because you need to end some circumstance in your life that you're tired of and that you don't want anymore. And so you're imagining what that next reality could look like, and you're praying and you're dreaming and you're asking God for support to make it happen. Well, one of the things that can happen with excess impatience with this Mars and Gemini is the resistance builds up inside of us. And the analogy that I have for this is like when you lose something in your house. So let's say you misplace your keys and you're trying to go somewhere and you're trying to get there now and you're worried that you're going to be late. So you're running around the house looking for these keys, digging through everything. And meanwhile, your heart is closing. You might be experiencing feelings of stress. You can notice in your physical body that there's pressure building and emotions are welling up because you're worried about getting to the XYZ point by this certain time. Because to be honest, I wanted to be there yesterday already and I'm still not there and I need to make it happen. And I misplaced my keys and I'm the only one that can figure this out and I have to find these keys. What am I going to do? Do you notice that the harder you look, and the harder that you search, the worse it gets? And have you also noticed that you never find what you're looking for until you give up? That's because you have to put an end to the resistance in order to let in what it is that you're trying to find, what it is that you're seeking. It's that Jupiter energy that rules Pisces, the seeking, okay? So I bet a lot of people watching this video are privy to that pattern in their lives already. You know about the law of attraction. You know about calling things into your life. You know about resistance. So what you do is you consciously say, okay, I'm not looking anymore because I know I have to stop looking in order for this thing to find me. But subconsciously, you're still looking. And that's what this Pisces energy is all about. It's the subconscious process. That's what we're working with here. So if you're trying to dream something up, if you're trying to end something that you want to end and you're trying to transition, but you're encountering resistance and have feelings of impatience, you have to watch your body. Because if the mind is going, it's okay, I've given up the search, I know that this is in God's hands, but your body is going, you still have resistance. If your body is going, I'm afraid, and there's a restlessness, there's an insecurity, there's a fear going on, which is natural, okay, then you're not going to find the keys. The keys aren't going to come in until you relax and let go. That's what people mean when they say surrender. That's what we're saying when we say let go of it. But you have to actually let go of it and take the body posture and positioning of someone who has let go of it. Because if you consciously say, I'm not going to think about it anymore, but then you're ruminating in your mind and your mind is super active, which it is because Mars is in Gemini right now, Gemini ruling the mind and Mars being fast-paced, quick thoughts, lots going on here, and there can be an excess of that. Even in terms of just exciting ideas about what you want to do. You're just go. The more you want something, the less it wants you, right? So you take the body positioning of somebody that already has everything they need, somebody that's already at peace with everything working out the way that it's supposed to, and you try to embody that energetically with your physical body. So if you've got a challenging situation coming up and you're worried about how it's all going to shake out and you're doing all that questioning about if you're going to have what you need, or you're in a rush to figure it out, or you're worried or whatever it is, or you just really, really want it and you're really excited, but you're pushing it away as a consequence, then the trick is to go, how does the person feel who already has this? And every time my emotions swell, can I just sit with them and return to that place of calm by literally giving it to God? And this is where Christ consciousness becomes extremely useful, because the whole message in the story of Christ is to take the burden and give it to God. And that's where we get a little tricky with this whole law of attraction stuff, which says everything is up to you. It's not all up to you, especially in Pisces season. It's a co-creation where there is the hand of the divine will guiding you. So the trick here is to align your will with the divine will, period. End of story. Embody the physical energy of someone who has already done that and who is already at peace. And that's how you make it happen. You got to be aware of those subconscious processes and where you're storing and holding emotions in the physical body. And then I want to speak more to people that are moving through some type of loss or grief or ending that they didn't ask for or don't realize that they want or need, or that they would have never wanted in a million lifetimes. If that's you and you're in this position, then let's again return to the body. The strategy is to go down into that feeling of grief, not to escape or avoid it, which can be a tendency with Pisces because these feelings are so deep and these feelings are so big, and it's such a profound experience. Grief is love, right? Grief is love. So if grief is love, or if illness and sickness and loss really underscores the meaning and love behind life, then what you don't want to do when those feelings come up, and they come up often, you can feel that pain almost like a stab, or at least that's how it feels to me. And I'll notice an instantaneous closing of your chakras, like you just want to shut down, like you squeeze, and there's like this intense resistance. It's this intense halt to that swell or that tide coming through and filling you up, because you don't want to go there. It's too painful. You don't want to drown in those emotions. So you feel that and you resist it and you put up the wall and you slam it shut and you don't let the tidal wave through. The trick with processing grief, and it happens for everybody else in their own timing, right? It's your own timing. This is your natural process. If this is you dealing with an unwanted loss or ending, is to see if you can, where you feel safe and when you feel safe in the appropriate context, to when that feeling hits, just let it hit. Don't resist it. Don't close it. Don't squeeze it. Don't shut it off. Don't try to escape it. Don't drink it away. Cry it out. Go down. Drown in it. Because that's how you get to the love underneath, and that's how you move through grief. And that's what I would say for anybody, no matter what kind of transition you're moving through now. You know, the big ones, the bad ones, the small ones, the things that don't feel as important as other people's grief and loss, and then you judge yourself for even having those feelings. Don't do that. Don't repress it. Mutable signs repress. Don't avoid it. Don't escape it. Don't drown it out. Feel it. And that's how you move through challenging Pisces energy, if this is you. But for those of us that are setting dreams and intentions and goals right now, really it's more about keeping your feet on the ground and not being overly idealistic or in a rush, and trying to reduce resistance in the physical body. So I guess that's a strategy for everybody, is reduce the resistance in the physical body. So let's move on to some individual examples by sign, and we're going to start with me. So I am a Gemini rising, which makes Pisces and the new moon in Pisces my 10th house. And the 10th house is about the career. It's about the public reputation. It's about purpose and the way that I've structured my life and what I'm doing with my life and what I'm known for out in the world. The new moon intention that I'm setting, the dream that I have about what I'm trying to end, Pisces, in my life, is I'm trying to say goodbye and close a chapter of an old career that no longer feels aligned, because this is what I want to be doing with my life. And so I'm releasing my 2023 horoscopes this year, and you can get the waitlist to sign up for those 30-page reports for each sign in the show notes below if you're interested. But the thing that I'm feeling around this horoscope is it's the first time I'm really trying to launch a program or give a big offering through my business. And it's really scary. And I move through feelings every day of feeling like this is going to work, and I'm so excited and I can't wait to get out of this job, and I don't think it's going to work, and nobody's going to like it, nobody's going to want it, and everybody's going to hate it, and self-doubt and self-pity, and my life is over and ruined and it's not going to work and I should just give up. So, there's that up and down wave of faith in God and surrender in the will of the divine plan and how it's all going to work out in the timing that it's going to work out. Let's do an example of Leo's sun. So I have a family member who's close to me who is a Leo sun. And one day after the full moon in Leo, which was square that Uranus, she had a big pattern break experience and suffered a heart attack. So that square to Uranus kind of changed the direction of her life as she knew it, right? That 10th house, where we're taking our life, the direction that we're going. And the full moon in her sign, obviously, it changed everything about her perspective and her physical body, which is a first house theme as well. And of course, Leo rules the heart, and Uranus is the circulatory system. So there was big trouble there for her when she suffered the heart attack. Now, Pisces is her 8th house. So at this new moon in Pisces, she's finally out of the hospital, right? Hospitals are a Pisces word, but she had to have a surgery. That's an 8th house word. And now she's got this entirely new medicine regime, medicine and pharmaceuticals, that's Pisces. And she's going to be moving through a long healing journey to get back up to health. And of course, she has a lot of grief and fear with the brush with death to process. So that's one way that this new moon energy is playing out for a Leo sun. Let's try a Cancer rising example. So for Cancer, if this is the first house, then Pisces is the 9th house. Now, I have a client whose ninth house Pisces energy also has the midheaven angle. And if you're not familiar, the midheaven angle represents the career, just like the 10th house does. Most people will have the midheaven angle in the 10th house, but some people have it shifted depending on where they were born. And so for this individual, Pisces represents not just the ninth house themes, but the midheaven 10th house themes as well. That's one way to think about it. So for this new moon in Pisces, he's taking a trip on business. That's the midheaven, that 10th house career energy. And the trip, the travel, is the 9th house energy. 9th house has to do with traveling and going to a different place, flying somewhere else. And so he's traveling. He's starting a new journey. That's the new moon, taking a trip for career that will hopefully help get him promoted to the next level, which is that midheaven angle. So he's setting goals and ambitions. And he's going to be leading a workshop out there and acting as a manager, which is that 10th house midheaven career stuff. But of course, there's a lot of fear of being rejected or not well received, or the opinions of the group. That's that Saturn influence. So that's one way that this is playing out for Cancer. If we take another Cancer example, I have somebody who's a Cancer who is going to be traveling to a foreign country, which is that 9th house energy, to get a refreshed perspective and optimism after a particularly challenging season of life. That's another simple way that this energy can play out. You know, Pisces is vacations, retreats. It's going to be a place by the water, the ocean. That's all Pisces energy. 9th house is the foreign country, taking a trip to go abroad and take a time out from reality and just renew. So the final example I have for you is for Virgo sun. So if Virgo is the first house, then the new moon in Pisces is the 7th house. The 7th house has to do with relationships, marriages, spouses, contracts, agreements, deals that we make with other people. It's the other primary relationship that we have in life. It could be a business partner, a close friend, or a spouse. Now, what's happening for this particular Virgo is this new moon represents a big ending in life. It's the ending of a marriage and the closure of a particularly painful relationship, which was suffering through issues of addiction and alcohol abuse. That is all Pisces energy, as well as deceit and deception and lying. So that's all Pisces as well. And so this is a particularly challenging period of life where there's a lot of grief and pain, a lot of feelings of isolation and loneliness, and of course, a lot of uncertainty about how things are going to look in the future and how to have everything you need. And so that's another way that this energy is playing out for Virgo. Again, I got to say that, you know, if you're on the high end of the spectrum, it doesn't make you better than anyone else. If you're suffering through things right now, it doesn't mean that you're screwing up your life. It has to do with the unique planets that we have in our natal chart and the timing of events specific to us. So only God knows the plan for you. And this is really a time in which we're supposed to lean on the divine and pray and surrender to what God has planned for us and move through the emotions as best we can and rest in the hands of God. God gives and God takes away. And we're all the same at the end of the day. So finally, I thought this time I would do some examples of collective mundane astrology, which is the interpretation of astrological transits over the collective global world stage events. And so I'm going to be talking about the news. If you are not interested in this, go ahead and skip ahead. This is in the last part of the video for a reason, because I know not everybody likes to listen to the doom and gloom of the news. And the collective does tend to resonate at a frequency that channels the more challenging energies of the transits. And so we see things play out in a less than ideal way a lot of the time. So I don't mean this to upset anybody, but this is simply an analysis of how the transits are playing out on the world stage. I haven't really discussed world events in detail on this channel, and I'm a little nervous that it will dock my video. So if you like this and you want to see more of it and you enjoy the video, like and subscribe now so that hopefully the algorithm doesn't downvote me for talking about the news. But we'll see. And just so you know, the references and resources that I used for all of these current events will be linked below in the show notes in case you'd like to read up more on the events that I discuss here. However, I am not a journalist. I didn't write any of these words, so don't blame me. Anyway, so the first event that I'd like to discuss is the East Palestine train derailment that happened in the state of Ohio in the United States. So the actual event, the train derailed on the 3rd of February, which was 2 days before the full moon square Uranus, which caused all this chaos and disruption. And now this is related to the new moon in Pisces because we're dealing with the fallout. What they are doing now is burning off the chemical spill. The train was carrying a number of toxic chemicals, including vinyl chloride, which can cause cancer and disease, which is a Pisces theme. Chemicals, pharmaceuticals, petrochemicals, and all type of chemical production and engineering is a Pisces theme as well. And so the burning of chemicals in the first place has to do with Pisces. And there's a ton of concern now that the water, Pisces, is going to be contaminated, and thousands of fish, Pisces, have died, Pisces, as a result of the chemical spill and the chemical burn off in the sky, which is toxifying the airspace. So of course, all of the residents in the nearby area, even states away, and the 5 million people that live off the Ohio River are now worried about water contamination and the purity of their resources. When someone is affected by vinyl chloride poisoning, it can manifest as headaches and dizziness and other neurological symptoms, which is really interesting because Saturn in Aquarius plus also Uranus with its modern rulership of Aquarius rules the circulatory and neurological systems. So the fact that this chemical spill-off could cause neurological issues is related to Saturn in Aquarius close to the new moon here, and of course the involvement of Uranus as the modern day ruler of Aquarius that made that square when the event actually happened around the full moon in Leo. Now, the other thing that can happen when vinyl chloride is inhaled is shortness of breath and other respiratory symptoms. So this is really interesting because Mercury rules the lungs and the breath and the breathing process via Gemini, and then Mars is in Gemini here. So this trine and interaction of Mars with Mercury in the air signs can cause this quick breathing. That's Mars. Quick, fast, short breath, and respiratory inflammation. That's all Mars. So Mars and Gemini here and the activations that it's getting through Mercury and this transit in general, one of the manifestations of this new moon in Pisces energy for the people affected by this train derailment could be respiratory symptoms and inflammation. Now, there was another similar event just this morning at 2 a.m. local time, February 16th, in Florida, where a warehouse that was housing plastic potters for plants caught on fire, and it is burning really, really bad, and it's burning all of the plastic with it, toxifying the airspace as well. So that's another example. And everybody online is talking about, why are we having all of these derailments? Are we under attack? Yada, yada, yada. I don't want to get into the conspiracy behind that because I'm just not even going to open my mouth about that. However, it would make sense astrologically that you would see all of these events occurring because you've got an interaction between Mars and Gemini and Mercury, the planet that rules Gemini and rules transportations, including train, that we would have some kind of accidents, we would have issues, we would have an excess of those things when you have a trine, and that it would cause chemical fallout. Right? That's the Pisces element. So that's how that's happening and why you're seeing such a pattern of that in the matrix game of life right now. Now, Pisces also has to do with illness and an increase in illness. And one of the things that's happening is that cases of norovirus are rising around the country, particularly in Canada. Norovirus is a quick, fast, but hard common bug that is very catchy and causes a lot of digestive issues, and it's very uncomfortable. It is not deadly. It cycles every year and increases around this time, but you mean to tell me that it's a coincidence that it increases every year during Pisces season, the sign that has to do with sickness and illness? I don't believe in coincidences. Finally, I need to talk about the deadly earthquake that hit Turkey and Syria around the full moon in Leo that was square Uranus and caused the whole Earth, Taurus, to shake Uranus. The devastation is widespread, and now at the new moon in Pisces, they're dealing with the fallout from all of the loss and all of the grief that those people must be under and experiencing right now. Doctors from all over the world, that's a Pisces word, are flying over to help them. And of course, they're dealing with insurmountable grief. And of course, they have that resource scarcity now caused by this Uranus with the square to Mercury. And they have to question where everything is coming from, in the area of the seismic activity and where all the destruction is. So these are just some of the ways that this energy is playing out from the transition of the full moon in Leo to the new moon in Pisces and what people will be dealing with over the next month with this lunar cycle. Again, like I said, really in these times, the thing to do is to understand that God gives and God takes away, and to trust in the divine plan, and to move through your emotional wave as you can, and just recognize the emotionality for what it is, right? You don't resist it, because if you resist it, you create more of what you don't want, and you just flow with it and recognize that your perspective is going to ebb and flow like that wave depending where you're at with the emotions of whatever's going on in your life. And that this can actually be a very beautiful, hopeful, and imaginative, creative time for many, where we can really do some good work to put an end and conclude certain chapters in our life that we might have been wanting to end. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Again, if you are interested in horoscopes for 2023, covering all of the major shifts of the energy this year for all 12 signs, I've got 30-page reports coming hot off the press soon this month. You can join the waitlist to be notified when they are available at the link down below in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching and listening to everyone out there. I'll see you in the next one with energy. See ya.